Hey guys! A drug policy issue that a lot of people often have questions about is the workplace drug test. Which drugs are most commonly tested for? Where did it come from? How effective is it? What happens if your drug test is positive? Well, I'll be answering all of these questions right in this video, so keep watching.
Oh yeah!
There's definitely cocaine in this one. The workplace drug test started with soldiers who were returning from the Vietnam War. What's interesting is that soldiers who were found to have a positive drug test weren't criminally charged and they weren't discharged from the military. Instead, they were assigned to mandatory treatment. The argument for drug testing today looks a little something like this. Studies have shown that people who abuse drugs take more sick days, have chronic health conditions, and are more likely to get in accidents or be unproductive when they're at work. Therefore, I should have a right to know whether you're using drugs. But then labor unions and workers' rights activists were like, hold up, what about my right to privacy? If I choose to unwind with a joint after a long day at work, why should my employer have any right to that information? Why is my pee the only thing that matters? The laws governing workplace drug testing are still being written, and they vary by state, and they also differ depending on whether the employer is in the public sector or the private sector. Under both state and federal anti-discrimination laws, an employer cannot fire an employee for a first-time positive. In many instances, the employer only has the right to drug test the employee if there is reasonable suspicion that the employee is under the influence of drugs. Employees often also have a right to a hearing, where they can argue the results of their drug test or employment decisions based on the drug test. The employer must also provide some sort of drug abuse assessment and, if determined necessary, must refer the employee to treatment. Unfortunately, employers don't have the same obligation to people who are still applying for jobs. The 5 most commonly tested for drugs are cannabinoids like marijuana, cocaine, amphetamines, opiates which are found in heroin and morphine, and PCP. The most common method of drug testing is the urine drug test. But there are also blood, sweat, and saliva tests. Urine drug tests are probably the biggest violation of privacy. Many employers require that the employee urinate in front of an observer to make sure that the substance isn't contaminated. He can also tell you some pretty private stuff, such as whether or not a person is pregnant or has depression. If that isn't the biggest violation of privacy, I don't know what is. Again, keep in mind that drug testing procedures are very different depending on who your employer is. You're just gonna have to do your own research on that. Drug tests are both really accurate and inaccurate, depending on how you look at it. Weed can be detected in a person's system up to 28 days after they first use the drug. But it doesn't mean that by the 28th day that they're still feeling the effects of the drug. Picture it this way. Time for a cigarette. Light my cigarette. The drug reacts with your body and then it leaves a product behind in your urine, which is known as the metabolite, and this is what drug tests test for. So if a drug test tests positive, then that means that this product is in the urine, but it doesn't tell you how long ago I put this substance in, and it doesn't tell you how often I put this substance in. All that this tells you is that it's there. I could have been using the drug every single day for the past week, or just twice 2 weeks ago, and both situations could very well have the same positive result. Drug use isn't always abuse, and a drug test isn't foolproof, which is why many people doubt the ability of their drug tests to reduce workplace costs and to help the drug user. I'm one of those people. Well, I hope you learned a little bit more as to why your employers want to see your pee so much. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions as to what I should talk about in my next video, you can leave them in the comments below. And as always, stay sensible.